spray equipment. So all of your backpacks, ATVs, UTVs, right-of-way, trains, drones. Um, and imagine the simplicity of just turning on your data logger and then continuing with your spray job. No need to even look at a tablet or phone or anything. No other engagement. The Action Mapper Go has that capability because we built a modem inside of it. And while we have a lot of exciting new products since last year, um, mostly we try to push our flagship products. We pride ourselves in custom solutions. So if you have a problem, say you know you hate generating reports or you hate um, the difficult task of trying to itemize everything on your reports or organize them a certain way. Um, you can call us and say, "Hey, this is a problem I'm having. What sort of custom solution can you come up with?" Our software developers at Actera are one of a kind. They're creative. They come up with ideas I would never even think of. So some of these new solutions that they have come up with are now live on the SprayLogger site. There is a different configuration tab. There's some different features that I can tell you about tomorrow. I'm doing a workshop where during the breakfast where you can come see me. I'll have some equipment there. We can kind of talk about it. So tell me about some of the spray jobs that you've been doing, and if you have questions or ideas for me as well that I can pass on to the programmers. Um, so we also know that one of the problems that you face are sometimes guys are working literally out in the middle of nowhere. They could be in the middle of Slope County, and there is absolutely no signal, no Wi-Fi, no cell signal or anything. Our system is built so that you can still collect all of that data the same way, same accurate data without any sort of signal, uh, any sort of Wi-Fi or cell signal, because the GPS data and the flow data are all being stored in the tablet there. I want to show you guys, come by the booth. I want to show you guys some more things about parcel maps that can be really helpful. Our system can be configured to send you an audible and a visual alert when you are approaching a no spray zone, like a water hazard or a pedestrian area. So come see me at the booth. I'll show you how that works. Pretty cool little tools. One last thing, I just want you to know that Actera always puts our customers first. And so when you call us with a question or an idea or a problem, you're going to get somebody on the phone. Usually it's going to be me, but our goal is to just provide you with an answer and an update as quickly as possible. No sort of AI chat on the phone or anything. You're going to give me. So come stop by the booth, grab one of my cards, and let me know if you have any questions or if you'd like to join us tomorrow for the little workshop where I can bring all of the equipment and kind of show you how it works and do like a demonstration type thing. So again, I'm Andy Hogan with Actera, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, Andy. Next, let's have Claire Bolt with Accent, please.
Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all. And looks like everyone thrived considering it's pretty darn full in here. So I always love coming to North Dakota. I've come here long enough, not that long, but long enough that people know who I am where I go to get coffee. And I love that about this state, that it's just got that small town, real real down to earth kind of mentality. But at any rate, first of all, I want to thank you. As mentioned, my name is Claire Volk, and I'm a national account manager for AgSyn. You can read a little bit more about us in your booklet, but Novus Ag is a network of independent ag companies, and AgSyn is one of those companies. So we do wholesale and distribution for you all. So some of you allowed us to bid. Some of you all just called us and wanted to bounce ideas off of us, purchase. However, you all like to utilize us. We like to say that we like to give you leverage in the marketplace. Competition is a really good thing. Leverage is a really good thing. So we're really thankful to provide that to you. So a couple updates that again are to give you leverage. How many of you all over the past few years noticed the color change difference in your Tordon 22K? Used to be kind of an amber color. Now there's like just kind of some variations in it, right? Okay, yep, seeing some hands. So to no surprise, it's due to a formulation difference. And some of the questions that I've been hearing is, okay, well, the product label didn't change, so why do we care about the SDS changing? Well, it all deals with governing bodies. So the EPA dictates what goes on the product label. However, OSHA dictates what goes on your SDS. So think of it as, how does it affect a tree? That's on your product label. How does it affect me? That's on your SDS label. So those are the changes that I really think you all want to pay attention to, just from a point of awareness. If you have a danger skin irritation label on there and your people that maybe are used to using the old formulation now start using this one, all of a sudden have a skin irritation all because we didn't look at that SDS sheet. That's the kind of stuff that I lose sleep at night over, is just not having that information, not having that out in the marketplace. Okay. I don't lose sleep at night whether you choose to spray Tordon or Triumph or Quinstar, what have you. That's up to you. You all are fully capable to make those decisions for your program. I'm here to empower you to make those, and I'm glad to do that. Speaking of other changes into the marketplace, Quinstar 4L, Quinflorac is the active ingredient. This has been used widely on leafy spurge and bindweed for many years. There's really, really good research on it. Most of my customers are using 16 to 20 ounces, also mixed with 2,4-D. Both spring and fall application. You all probably haven't heard of this because up until this year, we did not have a label for it in North Dakota, and now we do. So Quinstar 4L is now an option for you all to go out and riparian leafy spurge acres. Also a bit easier to measure with that higher use rate, and also maybe a little bit more convenient for your small acreage landowners. We're also pursuing the desire or need for an aerial label. So come talk to me if you're interested. Would love to share with y'all some of the success that we're seeing out in the field. And again, this will be an option for you all this year since there is a product label. Lastly, I just want to say to you all, thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you that I do get to serve you all here in North Dakota. I want to let you all that I don't expect you to give me a dime. However, I do want the opportunity to earn your business. My grandpa has always talked about it's a relationship business in the cattle business. We've been selling Simmental poles for many years. And he said, people buy from people. And I love that about getting to work with North Dakota and getting to work with you all. So iron sharpens iron, and I appreciate the sharpening this week and always in your state. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. I see Josh showed up. Come on up here, Josh. Give us a little idea of what you're doing there, man.
Good morning, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Josh DePippo. I run Spotters Aerial Ag in Killdeer, North Dakota. I've met with you the past few years and talked about the updates in the drone world. And I've been drone spraying for the past 3 years. It's been a really cool and exciting adventure being able to take on pasture range weeds and actually really get good coverage. And, we've recently started doing drone sales, drone service, and building equipment that also helps drone sprayers in the field. So I've got an update for you guys later this morning on where the industry's at. Excited to keep working with everybody. So thanks.
Thanks, Josh. Josh. Next, let's have Tanner Smith with Quartet up here, please. Morning, everyone. So there might be some conflict of interest for next year. So I played poker with Cliff last night. If any of you guys have done that before, kind of know how that experience goes. Lives up to his name. So with him being the incoming president, I guess we already have some beef, Cliff. So we'll have to sort that out next year, I hope. But no, I'm really happy to be here in North Dakota. I missed coming to this meeting last year, which would have been my first opportunity. Got stuck in airport with the big snowstorms last year, so it's glad to make it out this year and be with this group. Congratulations to this organization on being a leader in this part of the country for 40 years. And I'm happy to be a part of an organization that has been there to support for those 40 years, products, services, and really people at the end of the day. So congratulations to your organization, and I hope that Corteva and myself are around a long time to continue to support your guys' efforts. Wanted to give a couple updates on a few products. So Tordon's been mentioned quite extensively over the last few months between some generic options and what it is from Corteva. Just come out and say straight away, the formulation did change about 3 years ago during the COVID years. The change that was made is we discontinued putting a dye in the product. So there's really no change in the efficacy, the performance, the mixability, any of that stuff. We simply took out that colorant that was put in that product. And you'll see in a lot of different Corteva products that change has been consistent. Basically came down to a couple things. It was really hard to source those dyes during COVID, and a lot of customers have been adding their own dyes for their applications. So there wasn't necessarily need so much to have that color in there. So changing the coloring in a product does not merit changing a label. It's pretty much an inert ingredient there. So just keep that in mind. Conversations about Tordon that it's not a different juice. We didn't pull a quick one on you or anything like that. Simply just change the coloring. And when that change was made, there was notifications at that time. I get, emails are missed, things are forgotten, but it wasn't Corteva trying to be sneaky by any means. I think sometimes that narrative is trying to be addictive, isn't it? So I'll just leave it at that. We understand that there's a choice in the business place, and I am grateful to all of you guys for choosing an American company that makes products here proudly in the U.S. and understand that there's a choice. So High Noon is our flagship brand today. We launched Milestone several years ago, and the evolution of that product has come into High Noon. So High Noon is a combination of Milestone and a new active ingredient, Rinskor. And I've heard a lot of questions from folks this meeting today and throughout the year of, if my Milestone works really well and I'm happy with what it does, why would I switch to High Noon? That's a really good question. It kind of comes down to a few things. First of all, because High Noon still has Milestone, same expectation you were getting from Milestone, you can still have with High Noon as long as you're using the rates. Which if you were using 5 ounces of Milestone, that would be a pint rate of High Noon. Or if you use 7 ounces of Milestone, that would be 20 ounces of High Noon. That'll be the same expectations as far as we can tell. But in addition to the Milestone that's in High Noon, you now have Rinskor. That's going to broaden the spectrum. So High Noon can be either a standalone product for mini weeds or a tank mix partner for all 13 weeds here in the state of Dakota. So if you had 87 ways to kill weeds, it'd be easier to reduce the amount of products that you have to bring in every year down to something like High Noon and have the flexibility of killing all of those state mandated weeds. Mixing with something like Tordon and 2,4-D has been a really good program in the state to control really broad spectrum and have a lot of residual. Things like toad flax that are difficult to control. Things like leafy spurs that are difficult to control. Running that three-way mix has been very beneficial. We'll also point out that all of our products, High Noon, Tordon, Freelex, Grazon PD3, they all have grazing labels, they all have hay labels. Really important for producers to have that flexibility. Again, appreciate your guys' support. Look me up at the booth, grab my card. Happy to help. Hope to be a long-standing supporter of this organization soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanner. Next, let's have Tom Hendricks. I'm going to get you up here, Tom, because I'll get you. Sorry, man. I didn't grab one of your cards. I don't want you standing out there cold. Good morning, everybody. Tom Hendrick with Van Ness Supply Company. It's good to be here in Bismarck. See a lot of familiar, friendly faces. Appreciate the opportunity and business opportunities I've had with many of you. To start out, I'm a humble jackrabbit. And I know that's not going to stir up anything here, but I hope we put it to the Grizz on Sunday in Frisco. So I don't think there's anybody in here that cares too much for the Grizz. So, anyway, looking forward to see what happens in that contest there. So we are a family-owned, family-based company for 65 years, third generation. Jake Van Ness is actually the CEO. He's about 38 years old. And again, we started out as an ag company. Our roots are in agriculture. So we've been in the specialty business now. We call it specialty. I serve 5 different markets in the Dakotas. And of course, BM right away is a huge part of what I do. And that's what I'm here to help you with as far as being a resource to help you in your daily endeavors to get the right products, the right weeds, help you with recommendations, equipment, things like that. So that's really what I'm here for. I appreciate this opportunity to get together with you again as well. From the innovation side here, I have roughly about a third of my customers that are currently set up with their own accounts online. So through BDSC.com, you can actually set up an account and it'll give you current what's going on with invoices, you get a current look at invoices. You can go back and get a 3-year history of what products you have used and purchased. It'll also give you access to some of our suppliers like Enview and Corteva, updates, things like that. So we've got some innovation going there as well. You can actually e-invoice. We're sending invoices. If you would choose, we can send those. You don't have to go snail mail. So this is some of that youth, I call it youth from Jake Van Ness, doing some things differently to try to make your life a little easier in your daily work there. So e-invoicing, e-payment online. So these are some things we're trying to strive to make your life a little bit easier out there. So from the product standpoint, I think Bill did a pretty good job yesterday of giving you updates what's going on in the industry side as far as products. Don't anticipate any shortages, anything like that. It should be pretty straightforward. Able to move ahead with this year here. So just to give you a little bit of update here, my counterparts and myself in Wyoming and Kansas and Nebraska, we're going to be working with BASF this year with a product called Detail. Detail, the AI is sulfur-fenacil. It's been used for several years in the soybean market, but in the vegetation management market. So it is a contact burner. So we're looking at a tank mix with Detail as well as with 2,4-D and or Freelex in place of possibly to see what it'll do compared to Venue, the 2,4-D and Venue with Freelex. So we have a new research scientist at South Dakota State, and he came from North Carolina State, and he has worked with Detail in the past, and so we've kind of got some things going. We're going to be looking at some plots. Detail is a burner. and it's a fast burner. You put methylated seed oil with it, and it will fry weeds, particularly Russian thistle, kochia. But we're interested to see what it's going to do with leafy spurs. So as an alternative to Venue, we'll see. We'll see how it works. I guess myself personally, I really have some doubts about their thoughts about 3 years in a row of application on the same site, if they're going to get a reduction in leafy spurge. I guess we'll see. But there's not much soil residual, if any at all, with either detail or with Venue. So anyway, just some observations what I made from this last year. So with that, again, I'll thank you. We do have warehouses that serve out of here. We've got a new warehouse in Mapleton, North Dakota, that pretty much covers everything East River here in North Dakota. I think Granite Falls still covers that area up all the way to the Canadian border, up that corridor on Minnesota and I-29. So with that, again, thank you. Thank you for your business support. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you. And let's rip the grizz here.
Thank you, Tom. I see Jeremy stepping in. Let's have Jeremy's here with spray sync up, please.
Hey everybody, I'm Jeremy Zare from SpraySync. I'm the founder and engineer. If you guys have stopped by our booth, our entire engineering team and installer team, anybody who worked on hardware, software, or was at your site doing the install this year is here. So, we want to make sure if you've got questions or anything, we're all here for that. If not, you've got me or Ryan's phone number. I talked to you a lot this past year. And really, I kind of wanted to really just be thankful this year for your business. I mean, we came around and installed in a ton of counties this year. Really appreciate your time, your patience, and getting to learn to use our software and everything this year. And really excited to kind of see a lot of the data and things we have. So I actually have a presentation at the end of the day today. We're going to cover some of the highlights of this year and also kind of cover some of our new features. So I'm not going to go into crazy detail on that because I know you're going to hear from me again. But we do have a demo up. If there's anything that you have any questions on, if you're a current customer, questions on how stuff works, it's always easy to just come and see a hands-on demo of something. But if not, we're always there for you later. And so the presentation today, I'm really just going to cover stuff that new things that we put into place, going to start early in 2023 all the way to the end of the year. Some things were kind of after the spray season was done, so not everybody got to take advantage of it. But we'll be covering today in our presentation at the end of the day some of the improved like hose reel and backpack reporting options that we have, like mapping options. Also, we added the ability to preview the data, your spring maps directly on the website. It's have to download and use a third-party tool. We also, I know a lot of people, we take a peek and make sure that to understand how you're using our software. And one of the things in there, we noticed not a ton of people are using our temp and wind logs. So that's going to be a thing that I focus on today at the end of the presentation. And then we also released a new feature at the end of this year, really. We've been working on it for months. And it's the ability for you to bring your own data into SpraySync to view it on the map while you spray. So whether that's landowner maps, whether that's no spray maps, really excited. We've kind of been talking to a few people already that are customers about the kind of different uses that we might have for it. So we're excited to start to see how that goes into play this year. So anyways, like I said, I'm not going to take too much time today. I'll be end of the day today at 4:45. We're good at presentation. So thanks.
Thank you, Jeremy. Next, let's have Jeremy Corrigan with Allegarium, please. Jeremy.
Morning, everyone. My name's Jeremy Corrigan with Allegari. Just probably been 15 years or so since I've been to one of your meetings here. Glad to be back. Thank you very much. In a new capacity with Allegari here, we kind of changed our go-to market strategy. We're really focusing, instead of the way Algar used to do it, was focusing on the end users and going direct to you guys. We've shifted gears significantly in the last couple of years, and that's what really enticed me to look at this role and come on board with Algar. We work now primarily with your major distribution companies. I mean, the list is, there's a lengthy list of all of them, but all of your main distributors that are here at this event, we're creating strategic partnerships with them to move forward and get our products in their hands, which will in turn get our products into your hands. Any questions you have on our products, please stop by the booth, visit with me. We've got a ton of them. We've always been focused, obviously, on the post-patent generic market, and it's not as evil of a market or a situation as what you might think. The products, they're high quality. We bring our active ingredients in from overseas. Everything, majority of, a lot of them come from India. From Israel. Very few come from India, and just a select few come from China that we have to get, as do pretty much everybody else on a lot of their active ingredients as well. Formulated sometimes down in Houston, sometimes down in Georgia, sometimes down in South America, brought up in Port of Houston and packaged into our containers. Like I said, they're high quality products. We've shifted gears on getting away from the low quality where you see the sludge in the jug, that kind of garbage. Shifting into more of a program-based type of manufacturer as well, working with distribution. Just recently we rolled out our Western Noxious Wheat program for Triumph 22K, competing against Tordon 22K Western Wheat program. You'll start to be able to get our product, Triumph 22K, at a much more competitive price point, making it available to you, available to your landowners that you're working with, your applicators that you're working with. So you're gonna see a lot of changes come from Algar products, Algar marketing, and our entire portfolio. So I cover the Upper Midwest. Hoping to be a rep for quite some time. So far so good. Things are going great. Business my entire life in multiple different capacities. Literally grew up in a contracting world, and then slowly shifted into the current role that I'm in. Not going to get into the details on that. That'd be pretty take up quite a bit of time, and I don't want to bore you to death. But like I said, stop by the booth, visit, introduce yourself. I'd be more than happy to visit with you about what we've got to offer. Like I said, working with all the distribution partners. We're not ones to steer you and tell you, hey, go over here and buy from this person or that person. We're simply encouraging to work through distribution on our products. So, like I said, looking forward to working with you and getting to know more of you over the next spray season and so forth and so on. So.
Jeremy, next is Nevin, please, Nevin Price at Warren Chemical.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Just a few things. For those of you that don't know Warren Chemical, we're based out of Rapid City. Pretty much fits sprays water in any way, shape, or form as far as your guys' applications. We'll build it for you, custom sprayers, stock units. Got a whole bunch of different stuff in there. And then all the gadgets and gizmos come with them. Few new things this year as far as units. If you have any of our Duralots, they have transitioned those. They're going to be running an extra 3 gallon a minute now on the Durapumps for the tow pumps. Then several of you have probably seen our spill response kit out there. We're be selling that. It's the Warren Rapid Response Kit. I refer to it as the Supervisor Special. It's not designed to be on every truck. We know it's a big kit. We know it's a bulky kit. I'm selling that to you guys as put it on your supervisor truck for when your guys call you when they're out in the field and they have that oh no moment. It's got everything you could need to get out there and take care of a little bit harder spill, within reason, obviously. So, as you look at the one that I've got over there, you might look at it and go, it's a little grungy. It is. You're right. we've actually used that. That's the kit that we built for us and use it as a prototype this year to see if there's anything we wanted to add to it, take away from it. And we've actually used it. So that's why I know it's a handy kit, good one to have when you have that low moment, or maybe a little bit more on the choice side of the wording, depending on how bad the spill actually is. So we've had some discussion on emailing and updating mailing lists and stuff. I'm gonna say kudos to Merlin and the association for managing the roster and mailing list. North Dakota was by far my easiest. For those of you that don't know, I took over the noxious weed programs as far as your rep there at Warren Chemical from Tim. Officially taking over all of them this year. But I've been coming up here to this meeting for about 3 years now. So North Dakota was by far the easiest for me to update all of our mailing and emailing and that kind of stuff this year. So kudos to the association for that. Appreciate the hard work on that. Made my life a lot easier. With that being said, if you didn't get our used equipment flyer in an email, you didn't get the email saying, hey, I'm going to be at the meeting, so if you need something, order it. If you didn't get our government special 1 month weed board flyer, let me know so I can get you on our mailing list for those. So that way I can email those out to you. The next you'll probably be getting is going to be the catalog. So other new stuff that we got in the booth, for anybody that might be needing something like this, we have worked with with a company. We're going to be getting nylon by stainless. Believe it or not, the stainless by stainless swivel hose bar fitting is actually cheaper than this guy. So come see me about that if you need some new swivels. Also, if there's anything in your applications, we're really pushing this into the bear ground world right now. The boomless nozzle handgun. You ever thought it'd be really handy to have a boomless nozzle in my hand? You now have it in your hand. We're also going to be able to use the same boomless nozzle to replace the boom buster. Get rid of that nylon fin for anybody that's still running the nylon fin boom busters. We can send them in and get them fixed still, but I'm going to recommend you just buy one of these. So I guess that's all I really have, other than I'll play on the Tordon and leave you with a little bit of a joke before I leave that I don't care which Tordon you're buying, where you're buying it from, or what's in it. Our sprayer will make it. We're going to spray it for you. So just come to me and shout if you need anything. Let me know if you want to get on that email list. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Next, we're just gonna have myself, William Bill Walker. Most of you people know what I do. I'm with Nutrient Solutions. I'm based out of Spearfish, South Dakota. While many of you have wondered, because I spend so much time in North Dakota, why I don't live in North Dakota, I'll explain it to you. Most of you want to retire to Spearfish, South Dakota, right? When you're done, I'm already there. Okay, so I'm ready to retire when I get ready to get down there. So I won't have to move up there. But you're all welcome to come on down and hang out with us as well. So don't worry about that. So we'll welcome you all down from North Dakota down to South Dakota. So, like I said, a lot of you know what I do. We are herbicide distributors. We distribute for all the major manufacturers. We're not having to buy sideways or work with other ones or anything like that. We work with Corteva, we work with Indy, we work with BASF, we work with Syngenta, we work with Jeremy with Allegheny, products that we could work with Jeremy on and go from there and everything and stuff. So we also screen a lot of those types of products. We try to figure out what's best for you, what's working best. Especially with, the last year or so working with their Chino Americas and stuff like that with venue and things. So we try to I try to watch that, try to bring you what's new, what's going on, and take care of what's best for all of you people and everything and stuff. And to increase your weed control right from there and everything. We are committed to you, which is our customer, and you are our most important asset. And I think over the years, just let me explain something here. This is your 40th anniversary. I've been with this organization, doing things in this organization for 25 of those 40 years. So that shows a commitment that we have to you people. I just didn't show up yesterday Just didn't show up from someplace else saying, yeah, I love being here now. Going from there, we have been here supporting you people. All right. We also support you with supporting your association and your organizations and the things that you do. We come in monetarily wise, personal wise, people wise, like myself, supporting you and helping you do everything you do. All your meetings, all your fall meetings, all of your, such as the symposium, and many of the county things that we come in and help you do individually and stuff. That's what we do. We believe in giving back and taking care of you, our customer, and our friends, which are our most important assets. And I made a lot of friends over the years up here in North Dakota. So we believe in strong stewardship of the products that we do handle. We don't tell you if you're having a problem with your product, just call the basic manufacturer, that's the problem. We don't do that. That's our problem to start with because we sold you the products and we want to come in and help you try to figure that problem out. Y'all of you know I'm coming in the door first. If we cannot figure that product out, then we're calling the basic manufacturer to come in and help us. Well, we're standing there with that basic manufacturer when that happens, okay? We're not just going to dump you off to those guys. That's all there is to it. We are again based out of Spearfish, South Dakota. We have John Smith, which is our warehouse manager down there. CJ Charles, which is his assistant down there. CJ come on in the last year. It used to be Dave down there. Everybody knew Dave and John. Now it's John and CJ. And a lot of you know Clay, our driver. And Clay is very good about contacting you people when he's getting close to delivering to you and stuff. So he knows that, hey, I'm going to be there in 15 minutes or I'm going to be there an hour. They keep track of that. I would stack John and CJ up against any warehouse in the country as far as for their efficiency, making sure we're getting the products to you, the proper products to you on time, and they make sure everything gets out the door. John wants a clean desk at the end of the night, so it's out the door to you people one way, shape, or form when you order it. So our delivery is 3-4 days. I think some of you have been extremely impressed with our delivery being 24 hours to 48 hours in many cases. So I will also jump in a truck, throw stuff in my truck and bring it to you, which I've done with a lot of you people as well. So we're not shipping from 3-4 states away. That's all there is to it. Okay. A lot of it shows up on our trucks. It will show up on common carriers sometimes. It will show up in UPS, depending on what's going on. But we believe in getting your product to you in a timely fashion so you get your work done. So again, like I said, hey, I've been with this organization a long time. So I will plan on being with this organization for a while longer yet. And run it from there. And again, I greatly appreciate the business you do with me. I really have a lot of fun and enjoy working with you people. What's going on? So that's all I have. Thank you. Okay, finally, when these guys transition in, we're gonna have Nikki go up, and they're gonna transition right from here, right over to their presentation. Scott, do you wanna do the introductions? Thank you.
Well, as we get transition here, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Scott Adevka. I have the eastern part of North Dakota as my sales territory. I have the opportunity to work in 6 different states across the upper Midwest, from Kansas to Minnesota. And I think, Bill, I might have beat you a number of years that you've been coming here. I initially came to the first conference in 1992 when it was in Fargo at the Sheraton downtown. It's when I started coming to these, and at different capacities I moved on and done different things, but I've been able to come back. But sit here, listen to everybody talk about, the products and all that. And I'm looking at the screen and seeing all the outreach and community involvement you have. And you guys do the best little calibration tour across the state, and you should be really congratulated on how growth this has gone by the early 90s to where it is now. So you guys do a really good job. It's always a treasure to come up here and do this. But we're going to here to talk a little bit about a product and that works on invasive weed control, and then we're also going to talk about some technology and how you can implement it. It gives you a toolbox to go out and work with trying to control invasive weed species. So I have Justin and Jared Hoffman. They're going to be up here to talk about that this morning. And not only just we have this, but we have a whole portfolio of products for Bear Ground and Brush. If you guys have any questions on that, feel free to stop by throughout the day, and we'll see what we can do. I don't know who's going first. Okay.
All right, that's it's the vendor presentations. Please stop over. All these vendors are in the vendor room over there. They are helping to support this organization so that you guys can have these kinds of conferences, and hopefully we can improve them with their support as it goes. So please give them all a round of applause one more time. I'll turn it over to you. All right, we're gonna have Justin and Jared Hospital, brothers teaming up here today to bring you some information from India. We're gonna turn over to them. Thanks now.
Morning, everybody. I have the western half of the Dakotas. Justin is actually the head of range and pasture for the United States. Is that right? Correct. Saying that's correct. And you can see with the get a little darker. My territory's up there in the green. I have the western Dakotas, but a lot of my time spent in this territory is dealing with bent nada. And I'm sure you guys have probably heard of bent nada. It's an invasive grass that's coming in here, and it's coming from the west. Oregon and Washington and Idaho all already have millions of acres of bent nada, and it's on its way to us. It's not a matter of time when North Dakota's gonna get it. It's not if, it's just when. It's done a really good job of coming across Montana down I-90, the corridor of I-90 and down into Wyoming and across into South Dakota, and then it took off from there and went down I-25 down through Wyoming. And I really think the next invasion is going to be down I-94, and you guys are kind of surrounded by it on two sides coming out of South Dakota and from Montana. And actually, this map's a little old. Fallon County has been not also, and it has no redeeming qualities. There's nothing about it that you're going to like. The first stuff that we treated in Wyoming in 2016, actually we treated on the ranch that Justin was managing, and we did that with it was indaziflin, but it was Esplanade at the time. We had a special label for it. But the characteristics of bent nada, a lot of it is just like cheatgrass. It germinates in the fall. It can't have a spring flush. It depletes everything before the native grasses even break dormancy. It senesces early, and it really makes its living by being a prolific seed producer. It's just like cheatgrass with a couple of major differences. Where cheatgrass needs some sort of a disturbance to get a foothold into an environment, bent nada does not. It can move into basically any ecosystem. The seeds actually, when they get wet, will twist and auger themselves into the ground. If you put one in your hand and pour water on it, it'll spin. And then the other thing with bent nada, that cheatgrass, it's palatable. You know, in the spring before it senesces, the cattle will eat it and help produce or reduce the seed production. Bent nada is not palatable at any time in its whole thing. So we have a grass that has no environmental control, and it basically plants itself. So it really spreads fast.
And one big factor of that is in bent nada, the silica content within that grass is about 10 times more than other annual grasses, and essentially it's like eating ground glass, and that's why livestock and wildlife and other animals won't consume it, because of that silica content and that impalatability.
This is a field day that Campbell County, Wyoming had in 2022. I think Richard and John were there. But in 2019, they found a patch of bent nada here, and then 2020 they treated it, and they treated it with a pretty good size buffer zone, thinking that they would get control of it. And 2 years later, it went from 200 acres to probably 2,000, because this area right here is where they treated, so there's no bent nada. The retrieval worked really well. But as far as you can see that direction, that's north, that's south, and then that's west. That whole drainage in 2 years we took over. This was in a predominantly cheatgrass area. It had, I mean, you can see it had good perennials in it, but Ventonata will really move through cheatgrass, and it can move into anything, but it'll move it at like 100% faster through cheatgrass. You guys right now, I mean, where do we usually work? We're usually in the reactive, and with you guys are in a good situation right now that you can be in that zone. You can be in the proactive, be ready to treat it instead of being like where we are in Sheridan County, Wyoming, where there's 200,000 acres of Ventonata, and we're just trying to reclaim some of it. Identifying Ventonata, I mean, Ray Charles could have found that stuff, that 2,000 acres in Campbell County. We want to get there a little before that. So the idea is early detection, and so that's why I wanted to focus on pretty close on identifying it early. Here's a video that Jane Mangold did from University of Wyoming, or Montana. Whoops, didn't play.
Well, it's video, sometimes they don't like how many clicks. We may not be able to do that. We broke the internet, Jared.
You're in trouble with your technical advice.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened.
If we can just see back, we're gonna have to dance here for some. If we just do it actually.
It's not a nice movie.
Yeah. Season, it has a really vibrant green color. Whoops. And it has a really long ligule. That purple note is really distinctive. And then if you pull down on that branch of that, you'll see that ligule pop out. The roots are really shallow. Then later in the year, it turns silvery green and then it turns tan. And that tan color, it's a different color than cheatgrass, and that's where it's easier to see that time of year.
When it's fully senesced, it almost is a whitish, pinkish white. Once you train your eye to seeing it, it is much different than cheatgrass. A lot of times people say it doesn't look like cheatgrass. There are periods of times it does, but when it's completely cured out, it's almost like witchgrass. It's that whitish, pinkish color.
For me, the easiest way to tell it from Japanese brome and cheatgrass in the spring is those two will have those millions of little hairs on the plant. Ventonata doesn't actually have that. So if you can find something that's vibrant green that looks like cheatgrass without that hair, I mean, that's what you're looking for. The seeds, they're real distinctive. They have that bent on and then that end there with the twist on it. That's actually what untwists when it gets wet and plants itself. They're long, slender seeds, but they're really not very big. I mean, that last picture, I put this in here just give you a perspective of how small they actually are. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why they really spread. The wind can pick them up. They got that hook on there for them to hook onto any wildlife.
Hi everybody, Coulter Brown here from the Northern Ag Network with a special feature report this morning. Ranchers across Montana are facing a new threat, the invasive annual grass Ventonata that can quickly degrade rangelands and is more aggressive than cheatgrass. Carbon County rancher Dan Yates found Ventonata on his operation and says it represents a serious economic threat to agriculture.
If you let it go to seed and you have 2,000 acres that were taken over, there's no way you can get any forage value out of your land at that point.
Dan says the first hurdle to get over is just being able to identify it.
As we can see, the texture of the Ventonata is obviously different when we're out on the prairie. If we're getting a white silica texture, shines in the wind, floats, it almost from a distance of 5 foot back, it almost looks soft. We've got a high dense tree here that has a lot of Ventonata in it, easily identified from a long ways away.
Ranger Jim Stanfield had never seen the knot on his ranch before 2020, but now it represents a serious concern for his operation.
I started noticing there was a lot of knot in certain places, which I didn't even realize what it was before. And when I pulled the calves out here over 2-3 weeks ago, they were way behind. Those cows will graze, even though there might be grass in between the vent knot a little bit. Right now, the cows won't go in there and graze it. So it's certainly going to reduce my calf weights. And probably in the future, it's like, I got a lot. I'm going to throw less cows over there.
Dan Yates told me they are taking steps to control Vent Nana and take pastures back.
So we've been treating some of this with Rejuvra, 5 ounces. We're taking care of the Ventana. We're getting a barrier built 4 to 5 years on the coverage, and hopefully they're getting their perennial grasses. We're going to see the forage go back.
Dan and Jim both encourage rangers to learn to identify Vent Nana and consider teaming up with neighbors to address this serious threat to rangeland. Well, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Well,
when Ventnata is, when it's still green, you can see that the leaves come off and they go up. But for me, when I'm trying to identify it, I don't know if you can see that wavy, that branch is really wavy, and it's really distinctive once you get used to that. And then once it dries out, they come off at a 90-degree angle, and there's not that many branches on there. It's really easy to find, and then that branch that's wavy on there, that leaf, is really coarse. So once it gets shrouds down and for new infestations, it won't grow above the canopy, and cattle will come in there. It's really hard to find, but if you can find that plant and you can see that 90-degree angle and that wavy branch, that's the easiest way for me to identify it. Advantage of it now, like we said, livestock won't eat it. Mowing for small infestations doesn't work. It tends to just wrap around the mower, and then you can still get a second flush. The trials they've done with burning, actually, about half of them came back and it was thicker than it was before. So that's definitely not something you want to do unless it might be to remove the cover to help treat it, get the herbicide to the ground if you have a really big patch. So herbicide is really the only viable option right now. And in the fall of 2020, the EPA gave us a full grazing label for Rejuvra, which gave us a whole new mode of action for annual grasses and weed control. And like we said before, we started this in 2016 with a special label with Esplanade. So we've been treating Ventnata for quite a while. You want to take this one, Justin? You're an expert.
I'll take it. Point or two. So I want to talk through quickly how Rejuvra works. What Rejuvra and Indaziflem is the active ingredient in Rejuvra. What Indaziflem does is it finds in the top inch to 3/4 inch of the soil, and like a lot of other herbicides, or unlike a lot of other herbicides, it doesn't resolubilize. It doesn't move down in the water. It stays bound in that top 3/4 to 1 inch of the soil, and we're seeing it stays there anywhere from 3 to 5 years. And why that's meaningful is because the herbicide is not moving away from that site of action. It's not moving away from the germination zone or where these annual weeds are germinating. And that's very key because what Rejuvra does when a seed splits and the root radical emerges from that seed and burns the tip of that root radical off, makes the roots will not elongate. Essentially, that seed of burn. It has no foliar activity on a live plant, on a perennial plant. It only works from that point of germination, which has been, it's a great complement to what we're trying to do here, because as we're reducing and removing that seed source from the surface, our perennial species, the grasses that want to respond, are not suffering a lag from the herbicide. They're not really from the tree. But again, what makes it really work well is it stays right there at the surface, and those perennial plants don't come in contact. So this is an older slide. As Jared mentioned, we started using Indaziflem on other grasses in 2016. It was a product called Esplanade. And so what that's given us is a lot of opportunity to understand how it works in different environments and with different species. This slide shows that we had through 150 replicated field trials with universities and other agencies to learn about it. And at this point, we're probably more than 160. 170. So this, we're not gonna beat you up with a bunch of bar graphs, but this is a great one to show that across 10 different studies, the fourth summer after treatment, we were still seeing over 90% control of the annual grass species. And whereas when we were using plateau, we virtually a year later, we'd lost any control. And it's not to beat up on the plateau, it's a great feeling. But what we're seeing there is that soil seed. These annual grasses are putting so much seed at that soil surface, and that's their 401k. That's where they're gonna fill that from every time. And if we don't control that soil seed bank, then that temporary control, that short-term control, is never going to get us that removing that plant from the ecosystem because we've got to control that soil seed. So this is a great indication. Two things: how and what time we want to put on Rejuvra, and how Rejuvra works. So if we're going to go out with Rejuvra alone, we would want to go out at a point where we had zero germination of that species. So Metanata is very much like cheatgrass, where it germinates late August, early September. It's a winter annual, so it germinates in the fall. But a lot of times it can germinate over multiple months, and a lot of times we don't know when that's germinating. So to be sure that we're going out ahead of any fall germination, we would say this time when we're going to go out with Rejuvra alone, that is probably a May-June time frame, because we know we have that plant that's out there. We have the plant that germinated last fall. We're not going to control it, but what we want to do is we want to get the herbicide down and get it incorporated and active in the soil before those plants start to germinate. Because once we have a root like that, Rejuvra likely won't control that plant. All it's going to do is it's going to stop the emergence of the root from the seed. So once we get to this standpoint, then we're going to want to add plateau, sulfuron. We're going to want a post-emergence herbicide to pick up this what we call white phase, or this early germination. And then Rejuvra will be there to pick up future generation up to that 40. So if you're out wondering when do I best apply Rejuvra, we tell people earlier in the summer, give it time to get incorporated in the soil. We'll say typically it takes about a half inch of moisture to get it moved off of the litter and moved into the soil. It doesn't have to be a half inch at one time. It can be a 2/10 rain and a 1/10 rain and another 2/10, but it takes time to migrate off that foliage, off that litter, and get it into the soil and get it active. So we want to put it on enough time ahead of time to get it incorporated. And then, do you want to go through Shannon's trails, or I can just keep going so I don't break the computer again? Okay. So what we did in the northern Wyoming, southern Montana, we continue to study what are our best options, both pre and post emergence, and what are our best timings and our best rates. And so this is a study that Shannon Clark, our research tech assistant, has been doing in northern Wyoming. So here we show we went out with the non-treated area, and you can see the Metanata all through there. Then we did a Rejuvra at 5 ounces and a plateau at 3 ounces applied in August. And we did a Rejuvra at 5 ounces and Laramie, which is sulfuron, at 1 ounce. And so you can see that with the post-emergence added to the product, with Rejuvra, we're getting really good control and fairly minimal entry on the perennial species. And I want to go into that for a minute. We all know Rejuvra or plateau's been out a long time. We've used it in a lot of ways trying to control annual grasses. Well, we were going out there in the spring. We were wanting to get enough of those seeds germinated that we could control of them. But at that rate and at that time, we could cause quite a bit of injury on the perennial species. What we're finding is with Rejuvra and plateau or Laramie together, we can go out in the fall as all the perennials are going dormant. We can use a much lower rate, which helps reduce injury, and it's still enough of a rate to control that early germination. So that's what we're doing with these studies, is trying to find out the most optimal rate of the post-emergence herbicide, reduce injury, and still have good control. Again, a similar situation where we show the non-treated and with plateau. Yeah, these are high rates. That's right. Thanks, Jared. So this is plateau at 5 ounces and Laramie at 2 ounces. Again, with the additional higher rate, we're not seeing any different control than we had This just quickly showing the level of injury. Our injury is probably the most prevalent when using Laramie. The one thing with Ventonata though is we've learned plateau works and Massive works very well on cheatgrass, and it works very well on Ventonata when Ventonata is young. But if the Ventonata starts to get some age to it, some growth to it, plateau tends to have a more variable or less effective control. We're finding that Laramie has a longer term control or through a longer growth stage, Laramie will get us better control, but we have to watch with Laramie for the embryo. What's that? I discovered that slide. Okay. So this is just a great photo from north of Sheridan, Wyoming. This is all Ventonata. And this is treated. This picture was taken, I think it was 1 year after treatment when they took this photo. 2 years prior to when they treated this, you didn't see the Ventonata in that pasture. And that's how quickly Ventonata spreads in the pasture. Again, just another example of how dense and how invasive the Ventonata can be. This is right up against the mountains. The one thing we get asked a lot, is there an elevation limit for Ventonata? Does it thrive at high elevations, low elevations? This is right along the mountains at Sheridan, Wyoming. This is probably about 5,500 feet, and it's doing well. We're worried that sometimes we've always thought that cheatgrass, once you got about 6,000 or 7,000 feet, it couldn't thrive. It didn't move into those areas. I actually think we found that that's not the case. That cheatgrass is moving up, but we know Ventonata is not limited by elevation. Continue to climb. Another shot. This is right by Dayton, Wyoming. Picture where we do the treatment. This is another Ventonata patch that was treated all the way around it. The one thing I love to show in this photo is where the cattle. They're in these draws where the Ventonata is caught, but there's not a single. There's no livestock out there trying to use that patch. The other thing, so Rejuva or Indaziflem is not just selective to annual grasses. In a lot of ways, Indaziflem is non-selective. Any seed that is going to be germinating in that Indaziflem zone is going to be affected by it. So Rejuva can do a really good job of helping extending and enhancing control even on noxious weeds. Those, especially like those persistent weed patches that we spray year after year after year, adding in Rejuva to the tank mix really helps start to put those acres behind you. Because if you're spraying a live weed, you've likely missed your chance because there's still that huge seed load sitting there in the soil surface ready to just put that weed back again. Rejuva really helps you control the weed that's there and stop it. This is a treatment on common mullein. Well, we did on common mullein, Dalmatian tongue flax, and diffuse knapweed, and this is showing 3 years after treatment how well we're doing in controlling that seed bank of those plants there. This knapweed trial. So this is a trial that we did just north of Sheridan, Wyoming. This is Scotch thistle. This is third season after treatment. You can see here the border of where we treated. And all this ground right here, all this bare ground here, was all thistle when we made this treatment. And now 3 years after that managing that soil seed bank is giving you that extra control of that species. So the biggest thing with any herbicide product, but with Rejuva, is that timing. It gives you great flexibility to apply because when we're controlling that seed of germination, as long as you're in the soil and incorporated ahead of germination, you can apply that because Rejuva is very stable in the environment. It doesn't break down by sunlight. We talked about earlier, it doesn't resolubilize and move around or break down. And so therefore it gives you greater flexibility to apply it. But the key is timing, making sure you're on ahead of germination, coverage. So as we talked about, Rejuva doesn't resolubilize and move around. Where you put it is where it stays. So we want to make sure we have very even and accurate coverage. And then the last thing is calibration. For right now, for our range and pasture land, we can put it on at 5 ounces on grazed acres. We're soon going to have the ability to put it on at 7 ounces. That's actually kind of more important if you have to miss ahead. But we need that 5 ounce rate. If we get in on under that 5 ounce rate, if we're getting in at 2 or 3 or 4 ounces, we're gonna run out of herbicide before we exhaust that soil seed bank. So we wanna make sure we're well calibrated in getting on that 5 ounce rate. All modes of application are fine, ground, UTV, fixed wing or helicopter. Right now, probably 90% of the Rejuva is being put on, being done with the helicopter and airplane. That's mainly because of the topography that we typically put it on. We're working with Josh to look at some drone work with Rejuva. This is a great way to apply Rejuva, but as Nevin was talking about earlier, when we start using boom buster nozzles, what we have to make sure is that we turn the pressure up and we get a great coverage. Those boom buster nozzles can throw out that big juicy droplet and it's very good and even doesn't work very well with Rejuva again because it's not going to fill in the gaps. We need that really even application. So if you're going to use a boom buster nozzle, boomless nozzle, we shouldn't say boom buster, we want to make sure we pattern test before we go on. So for aerial application, 5 gallons to the acre minimum and a medium sized droplet. And the reason why the 5 gallons is so important is with Rejuva, we're kind of working completely different than we ever had before. We're not worried about covering the foliage on top of the ground. It's actually kind of away. We're trying to get all that foliage, get through all that foliage and litter on top of the ground and get to the soil surface and get incorporated. So that's why we need more water volume. So we have more dense, more penetrable solution that gets in and gets to the ground. People ask me, do I need a surfactant with Rejuva? With Rejuva alone, we don't need a surfactant. We actually really don't want to use a surfactant because what surfactants are going to do is they're going to slow that Rejuva down. They're going to make it get to the soil later, and that's not what we want. We want it to be there. But we do recommend a solution stabilizer or a deposition aid to make sure that we're getting the right size droplet to get in the seed. Yeah. And Bill and everyone can help you with those problems. You get with a product that you're going to go on and get 3 to 5 years of efficacy out of, you get one chance to get it on. Get great control. And so don't dumb down application trying to save money because this could be the most important part of the process. This is just another one showing how blanketing the soil surface is very important. When you don't do it right, this is what happens. And so I'm going to tell on myself and Jamie Foy a little bit. When I first started spraying Bentonite in 2016, we went out with a swath width that he thought was the right swath width. It was the right swath width for herbicides and fungicides. We went out and traded the first 1,100 acres, and we had 10-foot strips for all 1,100 acres. And if you want to make Rejuva application really expensive, you're going to spray a bunch of 10-foot strips the second time you try to get it done. So, well, really, if you're going to have any aerial applicator work with that, please have them get a hold of us. We're happy. We have. And I actually have in the booth, we have some management guidelines, application guidelines that we can give them. And we can help them determine the right swath width so that we don't have any of this happening. So we can take care of it. Ground, we talked about earlier, ground applications, just, ground applications are great applications, a lot of water, a lot of ability to penetrate that thatch, get the product in. Again, a medium-sized droplet, really a flat fan nozzle and a boom works the best. But I understand in a lot of pasture areas you can't do that. So make sure if you're using boomless nozzles that you pattern tested them. And one thing we want to talk about is these annual grass species, and really any weed, thatch of the plant from the year before, that litter layer on top of the ground, that is a mini greenhouse for them to get that germination for the next year. That's what protects them. That's what holds moisture. That gives them another chance. Part of the success rate of Rejuva is not only the herbicide, because the herbicide actually breaks down fairly quickly. It's taking away that litter layer and now creating that bare soil at the surface, which is a lot harder area for, and it's a lot more sterile environment for that seeding. Also, that fine litter layer, this is more of a problem to the west, but all that litter is a great fire hazard. And when we take that litter out, we're greening reduce fire. This just shows more about the impacts of thatch and how it can affect the control of the herbicide. So we always want to think about that when we're going to apply. Yes, And all that thatch and that litter, that's kind of been our way. When can we manage our treatment to where that thatch has at least enough? This is something that we always want to bring up. So Rejubra has a 0-day grazing restriction, meaning you can put on Rejubra and graze the next day. But we really don't recommend you do that because we don't want, as the cattle are grazing, we don't want them to move that herbicide and create kind of a loss of control or mosaic control. What I like to do is I wanted to graze first. What that did is that removed some of that litter, that canopy, that exposed the soil to the spray solution, treat, and then that pasture that I treated, I would put it in the last of the rotation the next year. So that because what happens is when we take these annual grasses out, the perennials really respond, and we get a lot of really young new succulent growth. And those cattle are absolutely going to focus on that new growth. So what we want to allow for those new plants to do is grow, mature, set the root systems before we expose them to graze. I think a lot of this slide we've already talked through, just what we've done and how we've learned through it. Was that? Okay, well, and I'm happy to actually talk more about that than I have range as far as making sure you understand but there's a lot of collaboration going on here, a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of cost share opportunities for Ventonata to have Rejubra to control this species.
We're happy to do meetings. I mean, if you guys want to do a field day or have a local meeting that you want us to talk at or come see, we're more than happy to do any of that.
Right. Yeah. So thank you for allowing us to go through that. So the next thing I'm going to do is get set up for the ranking presentation. So I'm going to quickly switch to another. While I'm setting up the next one.